Gary needs a bathroom. He has needed one for 20 minutes. He is in the middle of London, and he is standing in front of the proudest new building in the city. It is a public toilet with 128 seats. There is a queue. The year is 1421. London holds about 40,000 people packed inside a square mile of wall, and every one of them produces what Gary is currently desperate to produce. The city has no sewers. What it has is a system. Rules, fees, legislation, and one job at the bottom of it all that pays better than almost anything else in town. We will get to the job. Gary just moved here from the countryside, where the bathroom was any bush facing away from the road. Nobody told him that in London, going to the bathroom requires strategy. Start where every Londoner starts, the chamber pot. At night, you use the pot. In the morning, the pot is full and the window is right there. This is the part of the Middle Ages everyone thinks they know. Here is the correction: it was illegal. London fined people for throwing waste into the street, and the fines had to be issued again and again, which tells you exactly how well they worked. Some Londoners got creative. In 1314, a woman named Alice Wade was taken to court for connecting her indoor privy to a wooden pipe that flushed into the public gutter. The neighbors called it a vile nuisance. Alice had independently invented plumbing, and the city made her take it out. The streets kept the evidence. Medieval London had a lane officially recorded as Shiteburn Lane. That was not a nickname. That was the name in the records describing the local situation. The lane exists today, quietly renamed Shiteburn Lane, because at some point the neighbors chose property values over accuracy. If Gary wants better than a pot, he needs a privy, a wooden seat over a pit in the ground. Thousands of houses have one. The pit fills up. That is not a flaw in the design. That is the design, and it is also a subscription, because every year or two, someone has to climb down and empty it. Remember this: it becomes important to Gary. The truly public option hangs over water. London builds latrines above streams and rivers, and the largest one sits on London Bridge itself, serving the public directly into the Thames. The city also fines people for building private toilets over the river. They build them anyway. And then there is the queue Gary is standing in. This is Whittington's Longhouse, and it is brand new. It was paid for with money left by Richard Whittington, the most famous mayor London ever had. England still tells children stories about Whittington and his cat. The stories never mention that his gift to the city was a toilet with 64 seats for men and 64 for women, the first public toilet in London with separate sides, built over a gully that the Thames tide rinses clean twice a day. In 1421, this is cutting-edge sanitation. It is the smartest infrastructure in England, and it is a toilet. Gary finally gets a seat. There are no walls between the seats. The man next to him strikes up a conversation about wool prices. Privacy has not been invented yet, and Gary learns that in medieval London, the bathroom is also a networking event. Now, the job. Gary is new in town, and Gary is broke. And the best money an unskilled man can earn in this city comes from the one task no one wants: the pits. The men who empty them are called gong farmers, from an old word that just means going. The pay is real. A gong farmer earns several times a laborer's daily wage, more than many skilled craftsmen, for the simple reason that no amount of skill makes anyone want to do it. The conditions are also real. Gong farmers may only work at night, roughly 9 to 5 in reverse, so the city can pretend the job does not exist. They are told where they may live, which is away from everyone else. The waste they haul is carted outside the walls and sold to farmers as fertilizer. London sewage is a cash crop. There are risks. The fumes at the bottom of a pit can knock a grown man out, and every man in the trade knows the story from a century back, written down by the city coroner in 1326. A cesspit man called Richard the Raker at home, using his own privy, when the rotten planks gave way. He fell in and drowned. He was a professional, and it was his own pit, which is the kind of workplace review nobody wants. Gary does the math A few nights of shoveling covers his rent. A few weeks makes him the richest man on his street, on a street where nobody will stand near him. Gary takes the job. His first night, 9 in the evening, a lantern, a shovel, a barrel cart, and a pit that has not been emptied since before the last king. Bucket by bucket, it comes up. By dawn, the cart is rolling out of the city gates toward the farms, and Gary has earned more in one night than his old village paid for a week of honest daylight work. He can also no longer smell anything at all, which in medieval London is arguably a superpower. The neighbors cross the street when they see him coming. They also, every year or two, absolutely need him. The city that refuses to sit next to Gary would drown without him, and everyone silently knows it. The Longhouse he queued at served Londoners for 200 years. Whittington's money also built almshouses and a library, but the toilet is the part historians still write about. And the bigger problem, the one Gary moved bucket by bucket, kept growing under London for another 4 centuries, until the summer the Thames smelled so bad that Parliament finally gave up and built the sewers. The fix for a medieval problem arrived in 1858, and it took the smell reaching the government to get it funded. Gary's troubles are not confined to 1 century. History is long, and Gary lives in all of it.